Good morning, my name is Joshua Rowand, and today I'm going to talk to you about the emergency management career field and why I feel that the Air Force needs to reorganize the way that it's portrayed and it's taught to the new recruits that are coming into the Air Force. Let me first start off by asking you a question. How would you feel if you were new to the military and trying to figure out what you wanted to do as a career? And when they told you that you were going to be doing something and come to find out at the end of your training and you get actually out into the career field and doing it, it's nothing like what you expected. Well, that's what's happening with this career field now. And the attrition rate in the emergency management career field is getting to be to a point to where the Air Force doesn't really understand why it's happening. But for me and others that are in the career field, we know why. It's because they're being falsely sold on a career field that they thought was going to be one thing, and it turns out that it's really not. So what they're doing is when they're coming up on the end of their tour, they're either retraining into another career field or they're getting out of the military altogether. The way the career field is portrayed to the new recruits, showing it all flashy and everything, doing responses and everything else, when in actuality, it's nothing like that. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what the Air Force actually is, what they do, and also I'm going to discuss about how it's being portrayed and why it needs to be changed. And also I'll talk about ideas on how the Air Force can better portray it to new recruits to hopefully retain them into a career field that they would like to do. So first off, let's start talking about what emergency managers in the Air Force actually do. One of the biggest things that they do is they write, update, and review emergency disaster plans that are in accordance with base operations, anywhere from natural disasters or airplane crashes and stuff like that. And one of the things that they do with those plans is they actually exercise those plans base-wide to make sure that the base populace knows what to do in case of an emergency. The other thing that we do in the career field is we also teach other military folks how to survive in a CBRN environment. And by CBRN environment, I mean chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear warfare. We basically go over the procedures on how to don and doff chemical suits, also what to look for if there was a supposed attack on the base. And finally, the other thing that we do is we actually do emergency responses with local authorities to go to hazmat scenes or possibly unknown material. We go in, we help to identify, mitigate, and basically respond with the other emergency responders. So now that there's a little brief overview of what we do in emergency management, let's talk about how the Air Force is actually trying to portray it to new recruits to try to get them to come into the career field. A few years back, there was actually a video produced by the NRA. They've done a number of things just showing different career fields in the military, and the one that they actually happened to do was for Air Force emergency management. So when it first came out, it was probably about 3 or 4 years ago when I first came into the career field itself. You look at the video and it shows a person, or two people actually, in a level A suit or a chemical suit going into a real smoky, dark environment and had real creepy music, thinking that it was some kind of like major disaster going on. They were using some equipment trying to detect whatever it was they were doing, and it showed them trying to mitigate whatever hazard was on the ground. To some people that looks real cool and real flashy. And then another thing that was going on too was when you go away for the Air Force training, it was more focused on the response end of what we do in the career field, making it seem like it was a little bit more than what it actually was. And they focused a lot less on teaching the emergency planning portion of it, which is what is probably, I would say, probably about 85-90% of what our job entails. So if you look at it from that perspective, from a new recruit coming into the military, it seems all cool and flashy and something high speed that they would want to do, when in actuality it's really not. So from there, let's go ahead and talk about what the Air Force needs to do to better portray the career field and to be more honest and upfront with the new recruits that are coming in. One of the things that they can do is they can specify the importance of emergency planning and how a base reacts with good plans or bad plans. If a base really doesn't have an emergency plan and there was something to happen, it could basically tear the base apart and they wouldn't know what to do. So our job as emergency managers is vital to that mission, because one of the things that they focus on is being mission ready. And by mission ready, the majority of the time with Air Force bases, you're talking about aircraft. So the wing commander basically wants to be able to deploy and redeploy those aircraft to actually keep the mission going. Because in the Air Force, that's basically what the mission is about: launching and recovering aircraft. Another thing that they can do is to basically uh, go over and talk about, how the everyday life of an emergency manager is important, because without us, there is nothing for the base populace to understand what's going on, because we are so vital to keeping the base populace safe, because you have to prepare and train in order to be ready for that emergency. And that's basically what we do. We prepare by designing the plans for the emergencies or disasters. We vocalize it out to the public, and then we also practice that as well. So as you can see with everything that I've gone over today, the aspect of actually going out and responding to uh, large-scale incidents or anything like that, or chemical attacks, really isn't what we do in emergency management, so to say. I mean, there is a little aspect of that, but for the most part, we are basically planners and trainers to the base populace and others to get them ready for something that could potentially happen. Um, I feel that if the Air Force were to go ahead and actually refocus on what we talked about today, I feel that the attrition rate for the Air Force emergency management career field might dwindle a little bit, not so to say as much as what it is, but I feel that it would help out, because it would show that they're being upfront and honest with what the career field actually is, instead of trying to sell it as something that it's not. Um, for me, it seems like a big waste of money for them to go and train us on equipment and also purchase all this equipment uh, when we go away to tech school and stuff like that. So I feel that if they were upfront and honest, it wouldn't be doing such a disfavor to the Air Force and to the actual public itself by selling the emergency management career field for what it actually is, and what they are attempting to sell it as being some high speed gung ho career field. Thank you.